Rob and Slim Show. Crumb, you there?
I am here, yes.
Crumb from Casual Sex with Crumb. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, sir. How you doing this evening?
Good, good. You are a podcaster from Canada, correct?
That is correct, yes. Just
Nice.
about an hour and a half north of Toronto, just to give the international viewers some degree of where I'm from.
Ooh, how cold is it?
Really cold. I'll try and translate for my American friends here. It's about 20 some odd degrees Fahrenheit up here right now.
Ooh, yeah, that's rough, dude. That's rough. And your show, how do you sum it up? I know it's the least discreet podcast on the web.
That's right. Yeah, the least discreet podcast on the web, and it's just adult news, kink, sex positivity, and as I like to say, ample chatter about butt stuff. I'm here to educate and watch porn.
How did you get the name Crumb?
Okay, so this is a fun story. I play video games a hell of a lot, and my video gaming handle is my crumbling abode. But with that, I got called Adobe, Adbo, like nobody could get abode right, which is the shortest word there. And then this one gal I was teaming with, she's like, Crumb, over here. And I didn't realize she was talking to me. And then I was like, oh, wait, hey, that's a really good nickname. I'm stealing it.
Cool.
So it just came from video gaming.
Nice. What kind of games do you play?
That was on, I play two exclusively. I play Fortnite and The Last of Us.
Oh, Last of Us was so good. So good.
It was.
I got the DLC, but I never played it. I was taking forever to download, so I never checked it out.
That's the one with the mushroom zombies.
Yeah,
right?
that's the fungus.
Yes, it is.
Yes, the cordyceps.
Yeah. So fucking creepy.
So good. And that shit is real. Like, if you look at the insect world, like, that shit is real. So that could definitely happen. Ooh. Definitely happen. And what made you decide to do a sex podcast?
Well, I sort of did a little while ago, going back into my history. I did a show about 3-4 years ago now called Subculturally, where it was going to be somewhere along those lines, more leaning toward the goth subculture and whatnot. But then people actually emailed me and were like, oh, so you're going to do like subcultures, like different subcultures from around the world. And I ended up being told what my show was going to do. And I was like, okay, I don't like that one too much. So there are three things in life that I really, really love: horror, porn, and wrestling. There's a ton of horror movie podcasts. There's a ton of wrestling podcasts.
Yes.
In my space, there aren't that many podcasts that did what I wanted to do. So I just fell right in. I'm like, it's something I love. I've been a fan for nearly 30 years. Let's see what happens.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to ask. That's what I was going to ask. What would you be doing if it wasn't a sex podcast? Would it be wrestling or video games or pop culture?
You know what? If it wasn't this podcast, I probably wouldn't do a podcast. I'd like to do a YouTube channel, but, you know, there's a reason I do a podcast. Perfect face for radio.
So does Slim. He knows. That's why he's smiling.
Well, no, I'm on YouTube, so I show everybody my ugly mug.
Do you do interviews on the podcast, Crumb?
I honestly would love to. Last year I had a couple booked, but then I had a little bit of a hiccup in my personal life and I had to stop. So fortunately, when I came back, all of those people who I had booked with last year, they still want to be on the show. So I must have done something right.
Cool.
So yes, eventually there will be interviews.
Cool. Yeah, I was going to say, with that kind of a niche, like I would think it would be not easy, but you would have people that would definitely want to come on.
Oh, absolutely. It's more so a matter of, I don't really like my sound setup as it is, like the audio quality of my show, and we're always our own worst critics. So before I go and try and record somebody else's voice, because obviously I can't do in-person interviews being, you know, up here in Aurelia, Canada, so it would have to be over the internet, and I don't like my setup. So once I get that to a point in quality where I'm okay with it, then definitely I'll be reaching out.
Cool. And what's the craziest thing you've learned doing your show?
The craziest thing I've learned is how many people care about what other people do with their genitals.
What do you mean by care? Like they get offended? Like what?
enjoy or
offended, care, tell you what to do with. Now,
he's
in
doing it
Canada-
wrong. He's doing it wrong. He's thrusting all the wrong ways.
Well, okay, well, you know what? Fine. If you want me to critique your work, send it over. But what I mean is there are so many people who have such a puritanical view of sex. And it's like, why do you care? I'm not hurting anybody. I've gained consent. Who cares if we bring a bamboo shoot into our bedroom? Like, really?
I like that. That should be the motto for your show. Who cares if we got a bamboo shoot? The bio.
Just for the record, I have not brought a bamboo shoot.
I was gonna ask, like, what's the weirdest
Bamboo
thing? What's the
fetish.
weirdest thing you put your dick into?
Well, I don't want to name names.
Nice.
The weirdest thing I have done, though, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, but what the hell? I was really jonesing. I actually am into pegging and anal, receiving as well as giving. And I actually did put a condom on top of a plunger handle and sit on it at one point in time.
How'd that feel?
Thankfully, I was smart enough to put the condom on, but it wasn't exactly what I was looking for, so we stopped that session real quick.
Have you ever heard Jim Jeffries' vibrating egg story? If you haven't, definitely look that up. Look that up.
I'm going to look that up. I've not heard it yet.
It's Jeffries, Jeffries, I think he spells his last name. But yes, his vibrating egg story will definitely make you laugh and cry, and it'll make. When I saw him, he told it on his first HBO special, and when I saw him live, he asked at the end of his set, he's a comedian, if anyone had requests, and I requested that, and he looked down, he got all like shy looking, and he said, "I don't tell that story anymore, sir." He was kind of ashamed, I guess, but it's a great story. It's a great fucking story. Oh man, Crumb, what is your favorite website for porn?
Wow. Right now I'm subscribed to Burning Angel, and that is because my wife, Crises, actually likes the look of the girls. So she's like, they're all cute. You can subscribe to them. So for right now, it's Burning Angel. But if you're looking for amateur content, I got to go with ManyVids. I like what they're doing in supporting the workers and the way they go about doing that.
That's what I was going to ask, because I know I've been told, my friend Ryder told me that if you see like a porn with condoms in it, which I hate seeing a condom in a fucking porn, but she said that's like they're not as safe. They don't fucking screen their actors a lot of times.
No.
Oh,
It's like the cheaper.
It's not as professional.
Yes.
Yeah, there's also one place, and I forget where it is, that mandates condoms. So even if you're part of the PASS system, which is the porn star screening system, even if you're part of it so that you can work without condoms, and even if you're taking like PrEP or whatever it is that you're taking to the hormones and to avoid disease, there's one place, and I can't remember where it is, that requires you to wear a condom no matter what.
Even
and a lot of people just stop producing there.
Isn't that in,
But
like,
yeah, otherwise,
California?
if it's
Isn't that like in
Go ahead, sorry.
California? California, they made the law or something where you can't do it.
I know they try.
That's what I
I
heard.
know they tried to, but in California, the Porno Valley is still down there, and they're still producing without condoms, and PASS has gotten even stricter.
That's the worst thing to
So-
see. Besides like ass pimples, condoms, it just...
Yeah, it is a turn off. Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
close that window
It
right
is.
there. It's not good. Not good.
So Crumb, I'm curious. The websites you said you like, those are clearly like websites that you subscribe to, and that all the porn on those websites are produced by that website. Is this correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Well, many vids you can't say that because they're independent creators, but many vids they pay ethically. I think they pay their performers something like 80%. At least they did over the holiday. I don't know if they've changed it. So it's just an ethical hosting site at that point.
Okay. Because that's what I was gonna ask. Like, then what are your feelings on like the mainstream like clip sites like
That's what I was
Pornhub
gonna
or
ask, yeah.
X videos and stuff like that?
Pornhub has started to turn it around. Like, I don't want anybody to steal anybody's content. Like, in my spare time, I'm a music producer, so I'd really hate to see some of my stuff end up somewhere without being paid for it. And I'm sure that's the same way with any content creator. So in terms of Pornhub, obviously I've been there. I love the verified amateurs and verified models because that way you know they've consciously uploaded their content to that site with the express intent of making it available for free, and now Pornhub is even paying their models. So steps in the right direction.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was going to ask, if you paid for subscriptions or didn't.
Yeah, I did. My very first one was iDeepthroat.com. This is way back in the early 2000s. It was a woman by the name of Heather Brooke. It was her and her boyfriend, now husband at the time. And she took about 10 inches, no problem. And I had no issue paying for that one.
That's how we find our interns. They have to take 10, right? That's how we find our interns, right, Slambo?
I guess so, yeah.
It's a prerequisite. What I heard you mention Crises, Crumb, as your wife. I was going to ask, is she your co-host on the show, or I saw her ad mention.
She comes on. She was on for one episode, and that was a gag episode. She and I used to host a podcast together, but she actually really didn't like the whole doing a podcast and putting the work into it, and she feels she's very shy, so she doesn't want to be in front of a microphone weekly. So she's been on one episode of Casual Sex with Crumb, and we just did a throwback. That one was honestly more so for our friends in the Sun Buddies network. You guys had Toby and Goobs on a couple weeks ago.
Yes, they were great.
Yeah, exactly. So that episode I did with Crises was literally just a throwback for like 15 people.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to ask you too about the Somebody Network.
Yeah.
Are you part of it? Do you run it?
Well, yes, and sort of yes. I'm definitely a part of it, and it really is just a bunch of friends who got together and made stupid pro wrestling bets. Like whenever a pay-per-view, a WWE pay-per-view would come on, we'd basically go in a Twitter chat and talk shit to each other, and we'd make bets and whatnot. We'd have a spreadsheet. Like there was just so much involved. And then we all realized, well, wait a minute, we all got together because of our love of wrestling, but we're all, I think 90% of us are podcasters, and then next week I believe it'll be 95% of us are podcasters.
Nice.
So why don't we try and do something with this, right?
Get something rolling. Yep.
So some growing, some cross promotion. I know they stopped it, but for a while on everybody's show it was my voice. You're never alone when you've got some buddies. But I know a couple of guys changed that, and that's totally cool. But yeah, it's just a great, supportive little collective.
Cool.
That's awesome.
That's very cool. Very cool. I was going to ask you too, is Crises an ex-wrestler?
Yeah, we both are actually. Both trained in professional wrestling, so not collegiate, but the stuff you see on TV.
Cool. How did you guys get into that? Like, well, yeah, like how did you get into that?
Even now, Canadian wrestling is experiencing a boom period. Like they really are.
Really?
Like in Ontario, there's 7 or 8 legitimate promotions that could sell out every weekend, which is fantastic. And back then, there wasn't that many, but it was still a hotbed considered for training and whatnot. So I went to what was known at the time as the second best school, because I couldn't make it to the first best school, and I trained there. And Crises actually was trained. I forget the guy's character name, so I'm not going to say his real name, but she was trained by an ex-wrestler.
Nice. How long did you do that for?
Not as long as I would like. I'm happy to say I'm undefeated, but I have so many lingering injuries to this day, so it was only about 3 matches and only about 5 or 6 months for me, unfortunately. Crises made it to 4 years.
Wow. I did backyard wrestling once with my friends, and I got the wind knocked out of me, and I was like, I'm never doing that again. Never doing that again, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a term. I didn't think it was something that really happened. Like, you can't breathe. It's like, it's
happened to me once.
I had a guy who did not know how to wrestle. Like, he didn't understand that it was, I hate to use the word fake, but he didn't understand that we were acting. So he first legit tried to break my wrist and then actually did dislocate my rib for me.
Oh.
With a bear hug. So I sort of had to take a step back from that, because I'm like, it went by weight. He was 300 pounds, I was 250, and everybody else was 100 and change.
Yeah.
So he and I
you're the
were
only
always
other
working
guy.
together. So if I'm
Yeah.
if I'm going to work with this guy constantly, I've got to be able to trust him, and I just couldn't trust him.
Wow. See, that sucks when that's you're that weight class. So, yeah, you don't have many options.
Yeah, I mean, don't get it twisted. I was never a great athlete. I was just fat. But you know, I felt like I understood what wrestling was. Like, it's performance art. It's choreographed, if you want to say that. But it hurts like hell, man.
Yeah.
Like, you get knocked out. You get the wind knocked out of you in the backyard hopefully on the grass, or if you're a dumbass like me, on the concrete. But then you get into the ring, and it's really not that much. It's really not that much different.
Yeah.
It's bouncy, but you're still landing on it.
Yes.
So,
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, so when you get into professional wrestling, they don't tell you like, "Hey guys, this is just like an act. Don't really try to hurt the other guy."
When you get to a wrestling school, there's an automatic assumption that you're aware of what's going on.
I would
like,
feel
I'm
that way.
learning. I'm coming here to learn how to do this safely. I don't know what this kid's problem was, but he did not get that message.
He's mentally too. He still thinks it's real. He's gonna snap your finger off and jam it up your ass.
Wrestling's not fake.
You can't assume that. You got to tell the guys that. You got to let them know. Crumb, I want to ask.
Well, to be fair,
Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I want to ask you. I heard you mention in one of your shows that you're not a fan of it, but what is VR porn? Is it just like?
I've watched VR porn. I bought a $10 VR headset to
That's what I was
watch
gonna
VR
ask. Do you need
porn.
one of those headsets? Because I've seen them at the store. The VR headsets.
Well, Pornhub, going back to that, they actually have a category, and if you get the Google Cardboard, which is like $10, you can sort of get a rough idea. So it's primarily POV, and it's supposed to be like in 3D.
That's what I was figuring.
And now you can go even further. I talked about it on a prior show. There's something called the auto blow, which will give you the electronically and mechanically best blowjob that you can get without human lips.
That's awesome. I don't even have to try.
You gotta buy a Roomba?
Yeah. You gotta buy.
How does it work?
Well,
Oh man, we're going extinct.
Actually, it might be a little less. There's a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo fundraiser out there for this, and they've got something like 300,000 backers. So this is going to cost $150 when it comes out. And I'm sort of keeping my eye on it a little bit. I kind of want one just for research purposes.
So now
Just for
Slambo actually just said something very intellectual.
Ooh.
He said, "We're going extinct." Do you think that stuff like that is gonna stop people from actually seeking real
procreating.
sex?
Yeah.
I think right now, and I can't remember what state it was in, but there are already sex workers who are pissed off with the idea of sex doll brothels, because this was actually going to be a thing up here in Toronto. Somebody wanted to open a brothel which was just sex dolls. And I do not want to be the guy who cleans that.
No.
That just,
No.
Worse than a jizz
that just
mopper.
opens up. And in Japanese culture, believe it or not,
That's what I was gonna say.
there are some guys who have substituted their wives entirely. They say, well, my sex doll doesn't talk back to me. I don't want to go home to her. I go to the storage unit. I have my fun. I go for a date. Then I come home to my wife, and dinner's cooked.
I know they're big into that.
And that's-
wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's already permeating certain cultures. I hope it. Obviously, I hope. I'm a big fan of human connection. I hope it doesn't permeate to that level.
Nothing replaces,
But
like you said, that human connection. Like just the chemistry you have. Like that could come down to whether whether you're into things or not. Like just that person themselves. Like.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're going to be autonomous and you want complete control, why not try doing some reading and try safely trying out BDSM? It might be for you, it might not, but at least you'll have a human connection.
I was gonna ask too, Crumb. Do you do like porn conventions, like sex conventions?
There is only one that comes by this way. I don't have my passport, so unfortunately I won't be going to Exotica, but I do go to the one that's up here in Toronto. They come by, I think it's every November, if I'm not mistaken, and that is a hell of a lot of fun. It's nowhere near as big as Exotica, and unfortunately, There is also an American porn convention that same weekend, so all the stars are there, and we sort of get the not second. I don't want to say second.
Yeah,
but we don't get the
as
pick
men.
of the crop, as it were.
Why don't they just switch the weekend?
I honestly don't think they're aware of it because I honestly think they operate in this little bubble. I don't mean to put them down because I actually like the work they do, but I think they operate in this little bubble that we're servicing the Canadian market. Whereas if we could get some international models and international performers up here, I think it would do a hell of a lot to bolster what this convention already does. We've had international speakers. Dr. Jess was here the last one. And there's a huge BDSM contingent. Like, I really think that if the organizers did put it on a different weekend and maybe reorganize the budget a little bit, they might be able to get some people. But right now, it's just the one, and I go every year.
And who is your favorite porn star? Or does that is that like different categories? Like how do you have one favorite or just different favorites?
Okay, so I have to be sort of political with this answer. I want as many porn stars on my show as possible for interviews, so I'm going to say nobody right now because I want everybody to come on and be like, "Well, you said she was your favorite." Oh no.
That might make them want to make you. That might make them want to prove you wrong. They want to make you their favorite. Is that words? That was words. I don't know if that made sense. I really
appreciate that, but I think you're overestimating my influence at this point.
So I have a weird thing when it comes to porn. So I have a lot of weird things, but so there are certain production companies, and actually you've already made me feel bad about this because I just look up these clips from like Pornhub where I'm like, maybe I should start paying these sites since I usually only watch their clips. But like I have one specific company that I do like, and it's very weird, but I like Primal Fetish, and I just like their content. I love them, but I only like porn from them with this one guy, the one dude he's like bald and he's got like an arm tattoo. I don't know what his name is, but I'll go through their clips and it's got to be like that guy, or I won't like watch their other stuff. It's weird. It's a really weird thing, but yeah.
No, that's absolutely totally fine. I mean, if you're gonna watch somebody else's dick do the work that you want to be doing, you've got to feel some sort of a connection, right? Like I'm a huge fan of Johnny Sins, and I'm a huge fan of Small Hands. I have no problem naming my male favorites: Johnny Sins, Small Hands, Lance Hart. I got to throw in there. All of these guys are awesome, and I wish I had their jobs.
You want the girl to be hot, but you don't want the guy to be a fucking slob and fucking 60 years old.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, yeah.
You want to be able to connect with them, right?
Yes.
On some level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally.
All right. Thanks for making me feel less weird.
Oh, he's weird, but
hey, man,
he's not as weird as we.
If you're into it, my thing is if you're into it and whatever it is consensual. I mean, obviously it is because it's you and your computer screen. I'm good with it. I'm really good with it, man. So enjoy yourself, have fun, watch all the Primal Fetish, but do throw them a couple bucks. I will.
Yeah, you're probably right. I definitely should. I'll just start thinking of doing that.
Crumb, as far as porn goes, women watch more, or is it equal?
It's still men, but every website, and I'm going by YouPorn, ManyVids, and Pornhub because those are the ones that have been released thus far. Women are creeping up there. They're about 34% of the viewers. So men still up there at 66, but women are creeping up. 1/3 of all porn viewers are women, if we go by those sites.
So they're just as bad as we are. Good.
Getting there. And like men, the number one category women search for is lesbian.
Oh, I was going to say tranny. I'm not into the lesbian porn. It's too gentle. Gentle.
I feel the same. I can't get into it.
Oh, man. Okay, so I gotta put over my friends Evolve Fights then. If you remember Kink.com's Ultimate Surrender,
Yeah. Actually, I watched those.
My
Yeah, I
ex-girlfriend
used to be
used
kind of like into those a little bit.
Yeah?
When I was younger,
Yeah.
like, yeah, those are kind of cool. They would like fight it out,
So-
and then like the winner would get to fuck the shit out of the loser.
Ooh.
Exactly. So they branched out because Kink no longer is a production company; they're a licensing company. So now what you're looking for is evolved fights, and they have guys versus girls, girls versus girls. No guy versus guy yet, because for some reason we stop and we call that a gay production company, whereas everything else is under quote unquote straight or lesbian. But definitely check them out. They're actually good friends of mine. I don't know. It's a good thing to check out. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
That's fine, Crumb. Crumb, we have to wrap this up, dude, but thank you so much for talking to us.
Oh, man. Thank you guys so much for having me. This has been a blast.
Absolutely. Where can everybody find you?
So I am at Casual Crumb absolutely everywhere on social media. And if you want to check out the show, it's casualsexwithcrumb.com. And best way to find me is on the tweets, and my pinned tweet will get you to the latest episode.
Awesome. And you're the voice that gets them moist.
And the bard that gets them hard. I am an equal
The
opportunist,
bard
my
that gets
friend.
them hard.
Slim, you got his number?
Yes, I do.
Slim will call you later,
Yeah.
Crumb.
Love you guys. Thank you so
Love you
much.
too,
Take care.
brother. Thank you, man.
Take care.
Have a good
Have a
one.
good one.
Bye.
Bye.